Hello students, welcome to the third video of topic 4 from module 2. In the previous video, we learned to write a Lambda function. We also had a walkthrough of the Lambda dashboard and the console editor. In this video, we will learn about the best practices that you should always follow while writing the Lambda function. Coding best practices always matter. When a team works on a project and follows coding best practices, production quality code will have a better readability, maintenance, reusability, and performance. Following the best coding practices from the beginning of the project helps to achieve high production quality and easy maintenance of the project development. In this video, we will cover the Lambda best coding practices. Let's get started. 1. Isolate the Lambda handler from the code logic. The handler function will serve as the entry point for a Lambda function. This handler function receives 3 variables for each Lambda triggering event. The first parameter contains all elements related to the triggering event. It is a best practice to have the core logic in a different service layer instead of having it enforced in the handler function itself, as it creates the way for a much easier and readable code. Most importantly, it makes it much easier to build unit testable code for core logic. Second, reuse the execution environment. Although Lambda environment expires after a specific period of time, it can be reused as long as it is operational. We can take advantage of this reusability and we can significantly reduce the execution time. SDK clients database connections can be initialized outside the handler function, whereas the cache static assets can be stored in the temp directory. Successive invocations processed by the same function instance can reuse these resources. This saves cost by decreasing function runtime. While reusing the execution environment, it is crucial to ensure that we do not save any sensitive data like user details, events, or other information with security concerns in the execution environment. Since these environments are being reused, there is a risk of a potential data leak leading to security implications. Third, use a keep alive directive to preserve persistent connections. Lambda terminates idle connections over time. Trying to reuse an idle connection while invoking a function will encounter a connection error. To preserve the ongoing connection, use the keep alive directive associated with the runtime. Fourth, use environment variables to handle operational parameters. Environment variables can be used to manage operational parameters. For example, while writing to an Amazon S3 bucket, instead of hard coding the bucket name we are writing to, we can configure the bucket name as an environment variable so that these Lambda functions can be deployed into different environments without updating the code. Fifth, avoid using recursive code. When a code is written to invoke the Lambda function recursively, the function automatically calls itself until some arbitrary criteria is met. This could result in an unplanned volume of function invocations and escalated costs. However, if we accidentally end up doing so, set the function reserved concurrency to 0 immediately to throttle all invocations to the function while updating the code. 6. Do not use non-documented, non-public APIs. For AWS Lambda managed runtimes, Lambda periodically releases security and functional updates to Lambda's internal APIs. If the function has a dependency on these non-public APIs, these internal API updates may be backwards incompatible, leading to some unintended consequences such as invocation failures. 7. Write idempotent code. The use of idempotent code for the functions ensures that duplicate events are handled in the same manner. The code should properly validate events and skillfully handle duplicate events. Now that we have familiarized ourselves with the best practices to follow while writing a Lambda function, there are some methods that we need to follow for deploying it also. That's what we are going to see in the next video.